Yeah, there's a common misconception that it's okay to nag if it's important, if it involves his health or his well-being. But the truth is, the reality is, whether it's sad or not, is it's uncomfortable. That's a matter of getting him to change, trying to change him. I know a girl whose husband is ill, and it would really help him if he has a chronic illness. It would help him if he ate really healthy, and he doesn't. So she thinks, well, he could die because of his health choices. So therefore, it's okay for me to nag him. It still didn't work. It just caused tension in their marriage.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode on the Fascinating Womanhood channel. I am Cherry Lynn, and I'm here with Dixie, Andelin, Forsyth. Hi, Dixie.
Hi.
So we're here today to talk about a subject we keep getting asked about. So for so long, we've been getting asked to do this, and we really wanted to make sure we did it right. We're talking about nagging today. How just to get it out of the way, what would you consider to be the definition of nagging?
Nagging is when you constantly harass someone to do something. It can be for a variety of reasons, but I've broken them down into two main ones. You're trying to get them to change, number one, and number two, you want them to do something.
So why don't men respond to nagging?
Well, some of it is exactly the reason that we don't respond to it.
No one responds to
Nobody likes it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking specifically about we do it. Why do we keep doing it? Okay, so why they don't respond or respond negatively, which is something we definitely don't want, is a show of independence. People, human beings, but particularly men, like to feel free, whether it's in their country or just free as a human being. And number two, it makes them not feel competent. Sometimes we don't think of that. And number three, it can make a person not feel accepted for who they are.
Right, that's a big one.
And that this is for both men and women, but since women tend to nag a little more, some of us, and we can do something about it, we're bringing this up.
So what are some solutions here then?
Some solutions to, first of all, recognizing I am doing this and it's not effective.
Must admit that you have a problem.
Yeah, because you're not going to fix anything in yourself if you don't realize I'm nagging. First of all, if you're nagging because you want him to change, then you need to go back to Fascinating Womanhood for the Timeless Woman and understand about accepting at face value. And we have videos on that. Because you really can't change a person, and you really can't change a person by nagging them.
Right.
It's like spinning your wheels. Give up on that. Let's try something else. Okay, so let's assume you want him to do something. Like, I'll use myself as an example. Sometimes our kids are grown. You're the youngest. Sometimes I'd like him, because I'm the relationship leader, I'd like him to do something for one of our children. To call them. They're sad. They need father's advice or something like that. That could very quickly become a nagging situation if I'm not careful, because he isn't sensitive to it. He doesn't notice it. So if I need him to do that, first of all, ask him if you would you do such and such. So be specific. Don't hint. That's the hinting video we've done, because we often. And by the way, nagging is a type of hinting. Yeah. Ask him if he would do, like, call Jill or whatever, and say, it would mean a lot to me. She really needs you, or he really needs you, whatever. And then if he says yes, and he probably will, then ask him, when do you have time to do it? I think it's really important if it's done this week or today or tomorrow. Ask him if he has time. That's number two. And number three, don't ask him again until that time has clearly passed. Like if you say, could you do it within this week sometime? Wait till next week. Don't keep asking. Assume he's going to do it. If the time has passed, then you want to know about it, and he hasn't brought it up because he might have forgotten, because that happens sometimes. Just say, I was wondering how it went when you talked to so-and-so. And if he says, oh, I forgot, or I didn't get time, resist the impulse to scold. Because remember, you're not raising him. He is not your child, and you're not his mother. He's an adult.
Yeah.
Do not scold. And that also doesn't work.
Right.
Reason not to do it. It absolutely doesn't work. It just causes contention. Ask him again when he would be able to do it and reiterate, it's really important. They need you.
I think that's really big what you're bringing up. I think it's important to highlight that what's the alternative here? The alternative is to essentially get into a bit of an argument, or you kind of getting into a harassment type of conversation. I think there's nothing good that's going to come of that. I've heard you say that so many times in regards to arguing and all those things in your relationship that are negative. So if the alternative is something negative, try this other approach. Just try it and see what happens. And it might not work every time. It might take practice.
Oh, it will. And
It's
it
a
takes
habit.
self-control. If you have a habit of nagging, which some of us do, you have to first of all, if you accept this isn't going to work. Who was the one who said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again?
Exactly. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Adults, okay, none of us are insane, but we sometimes do. We sometimes is thinking this time it will work. And if you accept this is futile, this does not work. Okay, moving on. What can work? And remember, reiterate, we're not talking about changing a person. We're talking about getting, like in the case of me wanting Bob to talk to one of our kids when he hasn't noticed a problem. I need him to get involved because they need a father's counsel. It's something I cannot do. Okay, so if it's something you can't do and he needs to do, if you're trying to get him to do something like get a job, that's mothering. Think about how you would feel if someone was nagging you, or when they're nagging you, how you feel. And if you think how you feel and think, that's how he feels. And that isn't what you want. And the final thing is, when he does it, don't forget to praise him for it, to thank him for it.
And to notice, absolutely. What do you think about because I think we brought up one type of nagging, which is a task. Like a task that needs to be done. What about the type of nagging about lifestyle changes? I think that's a really big one. When a woman wants her husband to improve on his health or eat better, I've heard that so many times. That's not necessarily something it's a task on a day-to-day basis that you can ask them to do. Out of the goodness of their heart, they just want their husband to be healthier or take on a lifestyle that's a little bit more, that's better for them.
Yeah, there's a common misconception that it's okay to nag if it's important, if it involves his health or his well-being. But the truth is, the reality is, whether it's sad or not, is it's uncomfortable. That's a matter of getting him to change, trying to change him. I know a girl whose husband is ill, and it would really help him if he has a chronic illness. It would help him if he ate really healthy, and he doesn't. So she thinks, well, he could die earlier because of his health choices. So therefore, it's okay for me to nag him. It still didn't work. It just caused tension in their marriage. And so she had to accept him at face value and realize, actually it helped her to be compassionate to him, because she thought he's in enough pain or ill enough that some of these poor choices he was making regarding his food was some of the only kind of comfort he got with some of the pain that he had otherwise. So she learned to accept and even empathize with some of his choices. And he actually has made some better choices as she has just accepted him for who he is. You can't just say, well, if it's for something important or his life. It's a principle that is true, and it's true whether it's important or just something that you want.
I think that's so important that you're bringing up that the same principles that apply to changing your habit of nagging with tasks also apply to these really important things, which it's just
hard.
It's just extra. It's much more challenging, of course. And the woman that is facing that obviously needs to be patient.
And you feel like you're swallowing this huge ball of anxiety when you accept that. But the thing is, these are principles. These are not techniques or tactics. These are principles. And the reason that they're true is they're true even if it's his health. If he has some mental issues, even then, if he's pushing back against your suggestions, people have innate free will. And if you push against it, it will cause contention in your relationship, which is what we don't want. You have the best ability to influence him through your accepting him at face value, through your love for him, and belief in him, and consistently focusing on the positives that you love about him, than by trying to change things you don't like, that you can see are flaws that are maybe even stumbling blocks for him. But if you focus on the good stuff and the positive stuff that is real, that you see, there's a much better chance that he will become a better person, a more happy person, or even a healthy person, than if you try to eliminate the negative, but focus on the positive.
It's so good. I think this is so important. This is such a big subject. And I think you've said this so many times. I think this is so important to say, that it just takes time to form these habits. There's a lot of women that have nagging as a habit. So just really trying to just be patient with it. You've told me, I think, right? It took you a long time to learn this. This was trial and error for you as well.
I was married at 19. I was still a kid. I was a teenager. And I realized fairly early on, because Bob was 4 years older than me, and he was much more mature. He'd lived on his own. He bought a car, and some different things like that. He lived in his own apartment. And I realized that he was more mature, and I needed to kind of pull myself up by my bootstraps. I thought, I'm not mature enough, and I need to do this myself. And so it was a painful thing for me to realize it myself, that I needed to grow up, finish growing up. I wasn't just completely a child. I needed to finish growing up myself. Fortunately, the biggest help I had with that is I had a baby within a year, and boy, did that help me grow up.
They'll do it.
Those sleepless nights, and my first child was very sensitive. She woke up at the slightest sound. Maybe some of you've had a baby like that, and I thought, I have to sleep. I realized, no, I don't. So dealing with it is something we can do, and women have this in spades. You just have to pull it out of that female bag of yours, the little invisible bag of strength that we all can pull out because of the love we have and interest in relationships that women have.
I love how you compare it to, that's really interesting. I've never thought about it that way, comparing it to having a new baby, and how you think, I need this and I need that. Well, you somehow kind of learn to get along because you have to. And it's very similar with nagging, in that, well, maybe you don't need to keep doing this. There's another route, and it might be hard, but there's another route.
Oh, it's hard, but so what? We do hard things all the time. I looked around me at the town that we were living in, Santa Barbara. I looked around me and all these people. We were driving around one day, and I thought, all these women have I could see women who had children. I thought, they've all survived sleepless nights. And I can too. And so you can learn not to nag because it doesn't work. Doesn't work, and do things that actually do work, and you'll be surprised at how much better you will feel, how much less of a feeling of I have to make this happen, because you don't and you can't in some ways. And if something is very important to you, let it pass. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? A fine? I don't know. It's not worth your relationship. Some things are just not worth it. And if it's really important, he's going to see the importance of it.
Well, this has been very helpful. Thank you so much for all of your wonderful advice. And everyone out there, if you haven't read Dixie's book, Fascinating Womanhood for the Timeless Woman, definitely recommend picking up a copy. I'll attach a link below to purchase the book, as well as the workbook that goes along with it. The study guide is an incredible tool that will help you as you are going through this journey with Fascinating Womanhood. We're here every week, so don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like our videos, so that you can see notifications, and we will see you next time.
See ya.